Hello everyone and welcome to episode 7. In this episode, the problem we're going to be looking at is many of the sprites use one sprite sheet. And in particular, we can look at Quote, and he's got a stand sprite, a walk left sprite, a walk right sprite, etc., etc. And these all use the same bitmap file, mychart.bitmap. And we really don't need to load in the same sprite sheet over and over again, because if you remember, and I'll show you, split into our sprite.cc file, every time we construct a sprite, we're loading in that same bitmap. So if we have we create a walk left sprite, we're going to use this mychart.bitmap file path, and it'll load in an it'll SDL load bitmap into a sprite sheet. So we'll have this same sprite sheet in memory over and over again. And this is really inefficient, so we're going to create a cache of sprite sheets in CPU memory, and this is going to be in the graphics class. So sprites will no longer have control of SDL surfaces, because right now they're the ones who are in charge of creating and deleting, but no longer will they create or delete SDL surfaces. And to show this, what we're going to have is the graphics class will have the SDL surfaces, and we'll have a load image. We'll have a load image method in the graphics class, and it's going to return a surface ID. And this surface ID is just going to be an SDL surface pointer, but just to kind of emphasize that it's not meant to be used as an SDL surface pointer, or as an SDL surface pointer, we're going to type def it to be a surface ID. And we're going to store all of the sprites in a map from standard string to STL surface. And this is just so that whenever we create a new sprite, we'll just say load image and then pass it the name of the file path. And that's what this first key is going to represent, the file path. And if it's in the map already, we'll just return this SDL surface pointer as a surface ID. Alright, so let's get started on making this. Let's start in our graphics class. So we'll start by adding in our type def. Not game graphics. .img. Start by adding in our type def of SDL surface pointer to surface ID. The first place we're going to want to use this is in blitz surface, so let's change the declaration and the definition to use surface ID. Then we're going to want a function that returns a surface ID, a method that returns a surface ID called load image. And that's going to take a standard string for the file path. And then lastly, we'll want our map from standard string to STL surface pointer. And this will be called sprite sheets. And so let's include these two, string and map. And then we'll define load image. So remember, we need to scope in surface ID and load image. So here's where logic comes in. If sprite sheets dot count of file path, so this is the number of keys that exist in sprite sheets that match file path. If that's 0, that means that we have not loaded it in. If we have not loaded in the sprite sheet, load it in now. And this is going to be done by calling our SDL method, or SDL function, SDL load bitmap, and this is going to be the file path.cstir. And this is the same function we were using in our sprite class. And then we need to return, of course, the sprite sheets, so file path. And if it was already in the sprite sheets, then that's the sprite sheet we're going to return. Otherwise, we'll have to create it and then return it. So let's go ahead and compile this, see if it makes, which it does. Beautiful. Okay, so we can head over to our Sprite class, where we were using SDL load bitmap before. So instead of using SDL load bitmap, what we want to use is graphics.load image. And the reason we're not getting, we don't have a graphics object to work with yet. So let's just go ahead and change it first. And then add to our constructor graphics. And of course, also need to have it in the header file. Graphics. And we'll see if this compiles, which it won't, but we're going to play a little game where we make a change and then chase down all the errors until there's no more compiler errors, and then it should just work. So the next spot we need to fix is animated_sprite.cc, and that's because it calls the sprites constructor. So let's go to animated sprite, and it needs to pass in graphics to sprite, which means it needs to take in graphics as well. Let's make again, see the next error. The next error is in player.cc, which creates an animated sprite, so let's open that. And here we're creating the new animated sprite, so let's pass in graphics, and let's take in a graphics. Make one more time. Game.cc, where we create the player, needs to take in graphics. And this, I think, should be the end of the trail. So let's make, and it compiles. And it works. So in the next episode, what we're going to look at is using multiple sprite sheets to make Quote look like he's standing and walking and then facing in the right directions and stuff like that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.